use Skype a lot, so I don't really know what I'm doing. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Melissa's recording the call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay. We're
So,
good.
like I was saying, I have some questions that are from my subscribers or followers, if I can call them like that,
Yeah.
because we all love you so much. So, so
That's
I
so
really
sweet.
want to, so I really want to start like with the basics. Um, were you familiar with the Collector universe?
I when I did the audition, this has got to be almost 11 or 12 years ago now. When I did the audition, I hadn't seen The Collector, but that is just because I wasn't really into horror films at the time. I'm starting to educate myself a little bit more now, but I think I was a little bit of like a scaredy cat about horror films. So I hadn't seen a scary movie in a long time when I got this part. And I always joked with Marcus Dunstan, the director, that the reason, because he's a horror film aficionado and he just couldn't believe what I didn't know about the genre. But I always joked with him that the reason I'm so convincing in these kinds of movies is because I'm very easily scared. And so that works to my advantage in this situation.
So, so you started like a new adventure, like surfing in this horror movie genre of movies.
Yeah,
So it's
completely.
cool. So how were you selected for the collection?
Mm. I mean, it was a pretty normal audition experience. Um, I don't know how many girls that they saw for it, but one of the things that I learned after I had gotten the role, I think it was while we were shooting the film, was that Marcus Dunstan and one of the producers had actually both gone to see The Social Network the weekend before the audition. And I have a very small part in that movie. I think I'm on screen for like a couple minutes, but they had individually gone to see the movie, and then when they had their like team meeting on Monday morning, they both said, "I found the girl," which is like such a cool Hollywood like kismet story. But I still auditioned like everyone else. It was what brought me to their attention, which is cool because um, I lucked out getting that role in The Social Network. I think I just looked the way that they wanted me to look, but I was a pretty inexperienced actor before this role, at least with film and television. So this was a huge opportunity for me to play the lead in a film, which I had never done before. It's a ton more work, and horror films. What I found over the last 10 plus years of being in the industry is just that they are some of the more difficult emotionally to perform, just because it requires a really intense usually it requires an intensity for the duration of the entire film, as opposed to if you're not that comedy or drama isn't difficult, but it's like a physically and emotionally demanding genre as far as being an actor is concerned. So
Yeah.
yeah, they were taking a chance on me, and I'm so glad that they did, because now I'm
Yeah,
in the
it's really
band.
awesome. Like they were like, I found the girl. So speaking of
Yeah.
that, how did you prepare to portray Elena? Because one of the main questions they had was that Elena was hearing impaired. I think it's called like
Mm,
that.
yeah.
So how did you put yourself in that mindset? How did you work with that? And of course, what was your first impression when you saw the first movie, I guess?
Oh, okay. Well, to prepare, I think, especially at that time, because I had been working as a stage actor for a while. I come from a musical theater background, but as far as like getting experience with film and TV, my understanding then, and it's something that has come to be more true to me as an actor, but my understanding is that you want to find the thing about your character or the things about your character that are universally part of being a human, right? Like the way that we touch people as actors is you show like to be a human being, whether it's a scared human being or an evil human being, or, you know, someone who's lost someone. It's all these human experiences that we're meant to be reflecting the truth of. So because I had never done a horror film before, I just approached it as like, okay, what is the most grounded and realistic way to portray what this girl would be experiencing? The fact that she was hearing impaired didn't really, I mean, that was an ornament, you know, that I put on, and it was a part of her story that was built into what made her the way she was. But you don't have to act hearing impaired, if that makes sense. Like, it's an adornment, and it's part of the complexity of who this person is. But the preparation was mostly just really knowing the script inside and out. Josh Stewart taught me this awesome trick that I still use today, where you go through the script and you mark out in the scenes where you're afraid or whatever. You basically make a map, like a draw it out on a map and mark it with the scene, but then you number the intensity for each scene. So if in this scene I'm at a 10, as far as like I'm terrified, I'm running, I'm crying, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, in the next scene, because we shoot everything out of order, in the next scene, you're not going to drop to a 2 in intensity. You would be maybe at a 9 or an 8, you know, like calming down. But that helped me so much to see the arc of where I was going from the beginning to the end, where I'm at in each scene, as far as like what I know, what I don't know. And that was the most helpful thing in shooting a film like that, because it did, when I saw the final product, to answer the rest of your question, I was so pleased. I was terrified, you know, I think I've probably watched that movie 20 times, just as far as like going to events and promoting it and all of that, and showing it to friends. And I'm still, even though I know what's coming, I'm still scared. I still find it to be disgusting in parts. So it's, I think the film holds up and it does its job all these years later. But I commend Josh for being such a professional, and everyone that we worked with. Just feel like it was such a cool experience, and stoked that we get back in there and do it again soon. So
yeah. I'm taking notes of this method you are mentioning, because I'm studying to be an actress, like a stage actress in my case. So it's very important for me to like have all these things in my mind.
I was gonna ask what you're in school for.
Yeah, I'm studying to be an actress, so I'm taking like uni classes, university classes. We have like hope, luckily we have a career, dedicated to acting. So yeah,
that's
we
amazing.
have like lots of lots of subjects. So I was wondering, well, now you mentioned Josh, but at the same time, I was wondering, what was it like to work with these other actors? Especially, I told you that I did an interview with Erin Way. So she mentioned like it was like a very cool, type of context. So what was it like to work with these people?
Yeah, I mean, Marcus is one of the most special, Marcus Dunstan, the writer and director, is one of the most special human beings I've ever met. He's, to this day, is one of my closest friends. I remember when I got, he left me a voicemail when I was cast as the role. So I already knew that I was cast, but he left me basically like a welcome voicemail. And you don't know, I mean, these scripts they're dark and they're violent, and so I didn't really know what to expect from the person whose mind it comes from. But he is just one of the sweetest, kindest. He's so excited to get out there and scare the pants off of people. And I think I still have the voicemail because it was just the funniest, not knowing him and not knowing what I was getting myself into. It was very it took the pressure off. I always felt very safe on set as far as, like I said, it requires a lot of you physically and emotionally. And I always felt like Marcus and Josh, especially, really had my back. The three of us went out to dinner before we got to Atlanta to shoot. And it was essentially Marcus asking Josh to look out for me, and like, so that I would know that I was never had to do anything I didn't feel comfortable doing, or if I was being pushed too far or whatever it is. And I felt that on set for sure. You know, there are a couple of instances I can remember of feeling very stuck or worn out. Erin was a great example. That scene where I first find her in the box, you know, I wanted it to be true to the emotion that Elena might be feeling. And I sometimes, you know, I'm not one of those people that can cry on cue. I have to be in a pretty like truthful place to become emotional. And sometimes, you know, there's a lot going on around you on set, or things are taking a little longer than they should be, or you're tired or you're hungry or whatever it is. And I couldn't lock in to the moment. And Erin is actually the one that said to me, like between takes, I was just obviously frustrated. And she said, you know, just take a deep breath and show everyone what it means to be human. She's the one that like gave me that little catchphrase, and it's that little nugget of gold I have carried with me into every role. Anytime I'm stuck on like, what is this moment, or why can't I access this emotional situation? It's like, if you find the humanity in the moment, you know, she was everybody was very supportive, and we all wanted it to be good, but it's no fun if it's not working. You know, it's no fun we all do this and it's our job and it's our passion, but we do it because we love it and it's fun. It's fun even when you're crying in a scene. You know, it's not fun at the moment, but when you walk away and you go to sleep that night, you feel grateful that you've given something, that you've given your best, and that's what makes it fun. It's like, oh, I gave my best in that, and we did something truthful. So
you sound so passionate. It's like so nice to see someone so passionate about acting. You know, and speaking of that, you were mentioning this comfortable range that you were managing, that you were always comfortable. So speaking of that, we wonder, like, how do you feel about spiders? Because, you know, you have this polemic like scene where spiders are crawling up your face.
Yeah, I'll give you the inside scoop on that scene. I didn't have any particular feeling. You know, I'd read the script and I didn't get to that part and freeze and say like, oh, no way. And the producers, I remember they asked me that morning, you know, are you going to be okay with these tarantulas? And I was like, yeah, just like, as long as I can have a safety meeting with the animal handler beforehand, and like, just want to meet them and have my eyes on it before you're putting them all over my body or whatever. Cool. So maybe, I mean, it must have been 6 hours later or something. And like I said, you get worn out, you get emotionally, if you've been get to that scene, you know, you're going into it a little bit like sensitive, I guess I could say. And I went and met the spider, and because they had a whole bunch of them, the close of the spider like walking across my face and across my arm, that was all going to be like one spider, you know, so they're not releasing a whole bunch of them at the same time, and then they just cut it up and make it look like they're all on me. And so I meet the spider, and I say to the animal handler, you know, and it's this big, it's not, that's how big they are. And I just say, well, he's been defanged, right? I mean, I'm an idiot. He's like, well, they don't have fangs. They have like a poison dart that they shoot out of their hindquarters. And I was like, oh, cool. Okay. Well, they've been de-darted then, right? And he was like, you can't de-dart them. It would kill them. And I'm like, so you're going to put like a poisonous animal on me while whether or not I'm pretending to be freaking out. You know, animals sense those things, and like I just was like, absolutely not. We are not. I almost had a meltdown. And so all those takes of the spider like on my arm and like crawling up, it's a body double, and then they CGI'd it across my face. Looks really good, but yeah, at the end of the day, I just was like, we're not doing this. I'm not gonna like take my chance.
Oh my God, yeah, totally. I understand. Like,
And I think I was more afraid that I would like, I wasn't afraid I was gonna die of this spider, but more that like I would freak out and hurt it, you know, like if you have doing this or whatever. I didn't want to like squash a beautiful giant tarantula or whatever it was. So
yeah, I understand. Yeah. So speaking of that, but did you have trouble like getting inside a box? I'm claustrophobic myself, so I always ask this.
I mean, the box was not fun, but most of the stuff that we shot in the box, you know, they have one with the lid off so that they can put the camera in. So there's only 3 sides.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then I just do this and make it look like, so look, a couple of tricks in there, but yeah, I'm a bit claustrophobic myself, so I don't think I would have handled that well if I was locked in there or whatever.
Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah.
So what was it like to, you know, because you are doing these scenes that are so dark and twisted, and then you go chill behind the scenes, and then you come back. What is it like to be in that mindset, turning in, turning out? How do you get like in 1 second into such a dark mindset for the movie and then just relax?
Yeah, I think with that experience, again, it was one of my first, and so I didn't know what I was capable of yet. So I was very nervous about actually being able to pull it off. And so I don't think I ever relaxed on set because I didn't want to mess it up. I didn't want to not be present for what I was supposed to be doing. Now, 10 years later, I probably would be better at least just knowing like, okay, this is when I need to like really focus, or I'm going to have 30-minute break here. I can turn my brain off for a minute. I think once you build that muscle, it's a little easier to go in and out. I still, again, I can't cry on cue. There are physical tricks you can do to make it look like you've been running, or, you know, there are tricks, but I think for me, I kind of just have to stay focused. And if it's a day that requires like a lot emotionally, you just keep to yourself on set. Everybody pretty much understands what's going on. You know, the director, the producers, like they see that you're sitting off on your own and focusing with your headphones in or whatever, and people are pretty understanding, like, okay, we want them to be wherever they need to be to make this work. So for that particular shoot, I think I fully had PTSD after I got home for a couple months. Like I did not, the whole shoot, anytime the AC or the heater would kick on in the hotel room in the middle of the night, I mean, I would jump out of bed. Like you spend all day pretending that someone is going to come around the corner at any moment and attack you. There's no amount of like watching reality TV in your hotel room that makes that go away. You know, you're just keyed up. So it's one of the drawbacks, but I do think I've gotten a bit better at it now after
I understand.
working that muscle, you know.
So speaking of other scenes, like the first one or one of the first ones, what was it like to film this disco scene? You know, from our view, it looks like very expensive and at the same time, like very, very hard work because of the quantity of extras and all of that. So What was it like to, be there with all these people?
Yeah, I mean, that set was amazing. The blade from the ceiling that comes down. There's obviously like an energy. Everybody's really excited because we know this is a big shot and it's the start of the movie. It's kind of the same for the end. Again, like that there's like pyrotechnics on set, and that everything's expensive and there's a time limit. So there's a certain amount of pressure, but it is cool to walk into that club and for it to be full of hundreds of people. But yeah, I mean the act of actually doing that, it's a lot less sexy doing it than it is seeing it on screen. They pump music through, but it's really quiet and you're just hearing people go dance, dance, so
Yeah.
It's a little awkward and requires some imagination, but very cool to be a part of something that big and of that magnitude, and knowing that they were all about to get mowed down by a tractor blade.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, from what I understand, like you have to represent in like a minute, like something that would happen in reality, like in 1 hour, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they're off shooting. The amount of time I was actually in that scene was very small, which it doesn't, we don't feel it when we're watching, but it's all about shooting the crowd and the atmosphere and the size of it to make it feel that big, because again, the crowd was probably a fourth of what it looks like in that shot, because they have ways of cutting it all up and pasting it, and so it was still a big crowd. But when you see that big overhead shot, that's all manipulated. But very cool again to see the final project or the final piece on the screen, and you're like, wow, this looks huge. Like, it feels way different than it does in the room. So they know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's so cool. So you were talking a moment ago, you were talking about this scary feeling you were having after shooting the scenes, like in your place. So were there any moments in set that felt like too scary or too real? Like, for example, when they did this scene in the disco where the collector was coming down in this platform and was crashing like Elena's friends, like something like that. Were there any scenes that felt like too scary or too real?
There's the stuff at the end with all the fire. It's real fire. So that is scary. There's just like I said, it's expensive. There's time limits. Ton of pressure to get it right. Between takes, they're screaming at you over a bullhorn, so you're trying to take direction and make adjustments. Meanwhile, there's fire, right in front of you. And everything is safe, but you have to perform the way you've been instructed to perform in order to stay. So that stuff was scary. I'm not afraid to work with fire, but it definitely, like, the pressure is jacked up on that. And then I would say there's the moment when the collector like grabs me and pulls me back through a door with the dogs. He's like backlit and it's the dogs and he grabs me. And that, like, to be physically handled, I think, especially when it's coming from behind, it's like, it's easy to like lose yourself in the imagination. So, but I always, like I said, I always felt safe, and like everybody was doing their due diligence to keep us all. But yeah, when you are letting your imagination do its thing so that you can get to an emotional space, there definitely are times when it's
absolutely
overwhelming. Yeah.
So from what you're saying, it seems like you did all of the risky stuff yourself, like the fire, the thing with the collector when he was fighting with Lucello, and then you try to go to him, but he pushes you.
That was that was a stunt double. When I go flying across the room, yeah, she was awesome. They hook her up to a mechanism that pulls her across the room, so she would fly through the air a little bit, hit the ground. She's wearing a bunch of pads, she's an athlete. She's used to doing this stuff. And then with movie magic, then they cut it so that I'm the one who's, laying on the ground. So
yeah, well, it all sounds like very exciting to act and at the same time like very risky. So and what about like because I think we all viewers of The Collector, we all like to see bloopers. We have some behind the scenes on YouTube, but not bloopers. So is there something you can tell us about bloopers or some behind the scenes funny?
Oh, I'm trying to think of I would say maybe it's not a blooper, but it was a nice behind the scenes moment. So the way that I don't know if Marcus is going to care that I'm giving away all his secrets, but at the end when Elena smashes the big tanks that have to put out the fire. So the safe way to do that is actually they give me a bat that is about this long instead of the full length. And then in post, they make it look like it's a longer bat and I'm actually making contact with the tanks. But when those tanks actually broke, no one could be in the room because it's too dangerous. It's too much glass flying and water flowing out. So the way they do that is they put explosives on the tank and then they close the set off and we all sit in and look on monitors behind the screen. And I was sitting near Marcus when he was watching it happen, and you hear the explosion and the water come out, and you just hear Marcus laughing his ass off. It was the most fun thing for him in the world to say, action, and then you hear, like just him celebrating at how crazy cool it looked. So yeah, we were all cracking up. Like, okay, he's a kid in a candy shop right now. Yeah. We all do it because it's fun at the end of the day, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was thinking like, do you find the Collector character like plain awful, or actually you find some part of him interesting?
I mean, I think that will depend on the third one. I think as it stands, he's just a sociopath. I do like the backstory with the bug collecting and his, I think it's right at the end of our movie, he says something about, Josh Stewart says something about how he tracked him down because he's the bug collector or whatever. So I like giving him that they gave him a little bit of like backstory and a reasoning to his madness, but I think he's just a bad dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't know that I need to know why.
So, speaking of the third movie, we are all like claiming for a date of release. Do you know like approximately like when it's coming? Because COVID just took it away.
I just saw a press release yesterday, and somebody just sent it to me, but we are apparently supposed to finish shooting because we only got about halfway through the shoot, and that was a year ago now. So I think we're supposed to finish it mid-February. We're supposed to go back and shoot. So I don't know there's no telling how long these things take, especially while we're all pioneering this brave new world. but they're, they're working on it, and a lot of people have spent a lot of money on it, so it's a pretty good indication of the thing getting finished and getting out there to the world. So I will tell you that we started, I think the first couple of weeks of the shoot, we started at the end. They often do that because it's the more expensive parts of the film, and it looks really cool so far. The footage that I've seen is very exciting to be a reminder of what we're going back into in the story that we're going to get to tell. So, yeah.
Someone sent me this question. You can feel free not to answer it, but I'm gonna ask it to you anyway. Like, it was like that. Have you ever read fan fiction? And at the same time, what's your opinion? I don't know if you know, but many of us are falling in love with The Collector. So, what's your opinion in this crazy?
Oh no, really? Oh no! I have no idea.
Oh my God.
You'll have to send me your site so that I can read, because I've never.
God. Are you sure about that?
Of course, I've never read any of the fan fiction for this film, so I would love to.
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna send it to you. Like, we write a lot of fan fiction. Well, actually, not just me. Like, a lot of people write fan fiction, and they are like very good writers. But it's true that we are all falling in love with The Collector. So he's the main character of our writings. So yeah, I find it like very crazy and very funny at the same time. But I
love it. I love it. No, I had no idea. I'll have to ask Marcus too if he knows about any of this.
I think he needs to know,
Yeah. I mean, so, I know about the fan fiction from, was it like the fan fiction from Twilight led to 50 Shades of Grey or something? Like, I know that it's out there. I just haven't.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing, but with The Collector, It's like,
I never would have imagined.
I'm sure you're not familiar with Tumblr, because, people are going to hate me for saying this, but, if you go on Tumblr, you're going to find, like, if you type The Collector X Reader, you're going to find The Collector X, the letter X, and Reader. You're going to find, like, things that I'm not sure if you want to find, but that's up to you.
Oh, no! Just writing this down so I don't forget.
And please don't type The Collector X Elena, please. Because we are going to find some stuff that, the same as Twilight. So.
Better off not knowing, right?
No. So, change the topics. Were there any scenes? It's hard to change topics. Were there any scenes that you wish that were or weren't in the movie?
Were or weren't in the movie? I feel like it's all pretty necessary. I'm like trying to think of, because the movie doesn't really like hit a lull ever, I think it gives you a nice like breather every once in a while to calm down. But yeah, I hate when the dogs die, but I think that's just,
oh yeah.
Yeah, but I get why it's there,
Yeah. But speaking of that, the dogs seem like, well, of course, in the movie they are very feral and all of that. But when you pause the movie and you see The Collector at the door with his two dogs, like they seem like very cute and they are very like relaxed animals. So
yeah, they're gorgeous, super well trained animals. Yeah.
Yeah. So
movie dogs, they're just really talented. There've been, and I think German Shepherds especially, they follow direction really well, and yeah, I mean they were gorgeous.
Cool. Yeah. So my last question for today is, were there any cutscenes? Because we see you a lot in the movie, and if there were more scenes with you, or maybe without you, but
I don't remember at this point. It's been, I'm sure like right after it came out, I could have told you, but I don't really remember at this point. The one thing that was cut, and I don't know, it might still be on the like director's edition DVD or Blu-ray or something, but initially when we shot it, we shot like an extra little Super 8 footage of that played during the credits or after the credits, and it was like a vengeful to be continued moment, but then they didn't want to put it in there because they wanted there to be able to be a third movie. So that's the only bit I can think that I know we shot. It was just Marcus wanted to shoot this little piece for fun, but then it does kind of end up playing into the third movie, so I'm glad they left it out.
Well, that's cool because people were talking exactly about that scene, like after the credits. So yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. So it is on there on like the DVDs and stuff where.
I don't know because I haven't seen it myself, but I know that someone said that they saw it, so I'm not sure. People always find everything.
Yeah.
Especially fans. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. I hope you have felt comfortable, and I hope you understood me well. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course. Good luck with your class.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Good luck to you too, and please stay safe.
Awesome. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Bye-bye. Bye.